I was actually asked if there was anything I could do if, as you mentioned, the royal family was abolished. And just like that, I mean, on the basis that one didn't have a farm to work on or there was no other alternative.
Princess Anne has always been known as the royal family straight shooter, the one who gets on with the job, doesn't chase headlines, and certainly doesn't dabble in palace drama. So when she decides to open, you know it's worth paying attention. In a rare interview, Anne did just that. Sitting down with her usual calm, she spoke about tradition and what it means to serve the crown across generations. That alone would have been enough to spark interest. But what surprised everyone was how directly she touched the monarchy's future. Anne started by explaining her own ceremonial role during Charles's coronation. She was asked to serve as a position rooted in royal tradition, originally created to protect the monarch. That role was symbolic, but the way she described it, it became clear she wasn't just reflecting on history. She was talking about the present and what's coming next. And let's be honest, Anne doesn't waste words. She's not one to ramble, which is why what came next hit so hard. But then, almost like a side comment, came the bombshell that's shaking the palace walls.
It would have been much worse if one had gone very well, and been picked, and then the horse had gone lame. That would have been much worse.
And casually mentioned that the monarchy is already shifting, and not just in small ways. The process of handing William and Catherine more responsibility is already in motion. Not something waiting for Charles's retirement or final farewell. It's happening now behind the scenes. She didn't lay out a date, but she didn't need to. Her words made it clear. This isn't some distant dream. The planning has already begun. William and Catherine aren't just stepping into more public roles. They're preparing to lead. And in palace language, preparing doesn't happen without purpose. There's a timeline. One phrase she used stood out: continuity. She said the monarchy isn't just about one person wearing a crown, it's about keeping things moving. That means the idea of a crown date, a moment when William and Catherine will officially step up, might already be penciled in behind palace doors. It's not official yet, but it's not far off either. So if Charles isn't waiting for his time to be up, why the early handover? That brings us to what's really happening with King Charles. Since his cancer diagnosis in early 2024, he's made it a point to manage his role differently. He hasn't disappeared, but he's clearly scaled back. Fewer public engagements, more delegation, a visible shift in energy and presence. And while some might assume it's just health, Anne painted a different picture. She clarified that this isn't Charles retreating, it's Charles recalibrating. Shifting from being the front and center monarch to a guiding hand behind the scenes. She even hinted that Charles always knew his reign would be short, not because of time, but because he saw himself as a bridge, someone who'd modernize the monarchy and prepare it for the next era. Anne described it not as a loss of power, but as a smart pivot. A king who understands legacy isn't just about holding the crown, it's about knowing when to pass it on. And if Charles is the bridge, William and Catherine are clearly the destination. Their rise has been hard to miss. William has taken on major duties that once fell to the monarch, leading the D-Day commemorations in France, representing the UK at international summits, and becoming a steady voice for national causes like mental health and homelessness. These aren't side projects, they're signals of leadership. Catherine, too, has stepped back into the spotlight after her own cancer recovery, showing grace and strength. Whether it was her appearance at Trooping the Color or her visit to Southport after the knife attack, she's not just attending events, she's connecting with people. Her presence carries weight. And the timing of these appearances, it's not random. Both William and Catherine are being groomed, not in a flashy, showy way, but in a deliberate plan to ready them for the crown.
It is important to be able to remember what it was like when you first started, and how you struggled to think of things to say and what sort of line of you were going to take and sort of questions you were likely to ask and how people react. But that it really does only come with experience, and you can only help, if it helps, by telling you how you found it. And of course, each individual reacts completely differently. So, she may find it completely useless information. It's not something she thought of.
Princess Anne doesn't throw compliments lightly, so when she starts drawing comparisons between William and Catherine and the royals who came before them, you know it's coming from years of observation. She describes William as a blend of two very different forces, Charles's sense of duty and Diana's emotional intuition. He's disciplined and knows the institution inside out, but he also connects with people in a way that feels genuine. Whether it's comforting a grieving family or laughing with school kids, he knows how to read a room. That balance is what sets him apart. As for Catherine, Anne sees her as someone who carries the quiet strength of Queen Elizabeth Tuckin, but with a modern touch. She's calm under pressure, but she also displays empathy in a way that's deeply felt. When she kneels to speak with children or spends time with families affected by tragedy, it never feels performative. You might say she doesn't just show up, she shows up. But the real magic, it's not just who they are individually, it's how they work together. In public, you can see it in the way they support each other, with just a glance or a simple gesture. At the 2024 Commonwealth Day service, there was a moment where Catherine gently touched William's back during a tense exchange. Behind closed doors, royal insiders talk about their late-night strategy sessions at Kensington Palace, reviewing schedules and brainstorming how to modernize royal duties. They're not just a married couple, they're a team. And Anne respects that. And speaking of teamwork, this isn't just a duo effort. The whole royal crew is behind them.
I don't think so. No, I wasn't really aware of any. But I didn't exactly set out to. I was very quiet and kept my eyes and ears open.
Anne knows better than anyone that no monarchy survives without a strong support system. That's exactly what's forming behind William and Catherine. When both Charles and Catherine faced health crises in 2024, the family didn't scramble, they stepped in. Anne herself took on extra engagements without hesitation, quietly covering state events and offering guidance where needed. She's become a mentor to Catherine, often sharing insights from her decades in the public eye. Imagine a quiet moment at Gatcombe Park and telling Catherine, "Don't worry about the noise, just stay focused." Prince Edward and Sophie, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, have also become key players. Once dubbed the low-key royals, they've moved into bigger roles. Sophie in particular has found common ground with Catherine, often discussing their work in community outreach. One royal aide even shared a story of Sophie teasing William during a family briefing, playfully calling out his overly serious face during a speech. She said, "He's getting better, but we all give him a nudge now and then." And there's the younger generation. Princess Beatrice and Eugenie may not be senior working royals, but they're pitching in where it counts. Beatrice, now a mother of two, continues to work with children's charities, while Eugenie is deeply involved in environmental causes, perfectly aligned with William's Earthshot Prize. Anne smiled, recalling how Eugenie once set up a family Zoom call to brainstorm ways they could support Catherine's Shaping Us initiative. That kind of quiet effort adds up, and while they're all doing their part, it's Anne who's holding the family together like royal duct tape. At 74, she's still the monarchy's hardest worker. She's the steady hand when things get messy, and even though she'd likely brush it off with a shrug, everyone around her knows she's the anchor. But here's what makes this transition so powerful. Charles isn't resisting it, he's welcoming it. Anne made it clear this isn't about abdication. Charles isn't stepping away in defeat, he's stepping back with purpose. He's giving William and Catherine space, not because he's tired, but because he trusts them. And hinted at a private moment, Charles watching William in a council meeting, smiling quietly as if to say, "You've got this." He doesn't need to say it aloud. That confidence shows in the way responsibilities are shifting. It's not about ego, it's about legacy. Charles knows the real strength of a monarch is in knowing when to lead and when to let others rise. But make no mistake, this isn't just about passing on a title, it's about passing a mission. William and Catherine aren't just here to keep the royal routine. They have already shown they want to change the meaning of the monarchy. Their focus is sharper, more personal, more modern. Take William's Earthshot Prize. It's not a one-off campaign, it's a global platform to fight climate change, backed by action and funding, with input from some of the world's top thinkers. It's bold, ambitious, and already making an impact. And then there's Catherine's Shaping Us campaign. It's focused on early childhood development, but not in a surface level way. She's been researching for years, visiting centers quietly, working with experts. The campaign goes to the root of social challenges: mental health, education, and family support. And when they're out doing engagements, they show up differently. Their royal work feels human. They're not trying to look perfect, they're trying to be present. And right now, that humanity, that's exactly what the monarchy needs. Because outside the palace gates, the pressure is mounting.
Your Royal Highness, do you have any wishes for your new niece, Lilibet?
Oh, I wish her all the very best. I can't wait to meet her because we haven't yet met her.
The British monarchy isn't just facing family drama, it's up against global relevance. Countries like Australia and Canada are openly debating their ties to the crown. Republican sentiment is no longer a whisper, it's a growing conversation. And back home in the UK, it's the younger generation, especially Gen Z, who are questioning what the monarchy really stands for. But here's where William and Catherine come in with a serious advantage: authenticity. They don't try to act perfect. They've talked about parenting struggles, mental health, and even relationship bumps, things royals never used to admit publicly. That relatability makes them feel less like figures on a balcony and more like people you could actually talk to. And in a time when public trust is earned, that connection could be what keeps the monarchy standing, which means when that coronation finally comes, it might look very different from what we've seen before. If William and Catherine step into the spotlight, their coronation likely won't be your typical crown and carriage affair. Yes, they'll keep the core traditions, it's still the monarchy after all, but the vibe is way more modern. Think live streams for a global audience, not just a few camera angles on a royal network. Eco-conscious touches like recycled ceremonial garments or sustainable florals could replace old-school extravagance, and instead of golden banquets for foreign royals, imagine community street parties or national service days, celebrations that actually include the public. This isn't about cutting corners, it's about cutting through, making the coronation feel like a moment for the country, not just for the palace. And if Anne's clues are accurate, we might not be waiting long, because what we're witnessing isn't just a transfer of power, it's a passing of purpose. Charles letting go, William stepping up, and Catherine becoming a steady, empathetic queen in waiting. It's a family growing into their roles, not being forced into them. That emotional thread, the bond between generations, is what gives this moment weight. It's not just ceremonial, it's personal, because behind the royal titles are real people, and that's what makes this story so powerful. So what do you guys think William and Catherine's coronation will look like? Traditional or totally modern? Let us know in the comments.